That was Bishop Briggs with River, the King Cavalier remix. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for November 29th through November 6, 2021. On Friday, a woman was shot and killed in South Shore. According to reports, the shooting occurred at 7:19 p.m. in an apartment building located on the 7100 block of South Ridgeland Avenue. Police state that the woman was shot in the head in the hallway of the apartment building. The woman was identified as 27-year-old Yasmin James. Anyone with information on this or other Chicago crimes is asked to contact 311 or leave an anonymous tip at cpdtip.com. On Saturday, a 23-year-old man was wounded in the South Shore shooting. According to reports, the man was driving on the 7500 block of South Essex when someone opened fire. The man was hit in the right shoulder. He was transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was last listed in fair condition. A fire in Hammond, close to the Calumet City border at the law offices of a murdered attorney, is under investigation. The fire took place on the 100 block of Rimbach Street in Hammond at the law office of Bill Enslin. Enslin was found murdered by his wife in the ransacked Hobart home in June. Enslin was attorney for the town of Dyer for 16 years and served on the Board of Indiana Legal Services. He left work with the town of Dyer in 2020 for private practice. Fire officials did not know the cause of the fire at Enslin's law office, and Hobart police were looking into it as part of their investigation. Anyone with information is asked to contact Hobart Police at 219-942-1125. East Chicago police are seeking help in identifying 3 suspects involved in the murders of 2 men on Main Street last week. On November 26th, on the 3800 block of Main Street near East Chicago Lighthouse Charter School, gunmen fired over 60 rounds at 2 men. The 2 men, identified as 23-year-old Antoine R. Moore Jr. of East Chicago and 24-year-old Basha Woods from Chicago, were killed in the assault. A police surveillance camera showed 2 men fleeing in a white 2021 Kia sedan with an Ohio license plate HSU 2387. The suspects and vehicle are pictured on the screen. Anyone with information about the shooting can contact the Chicago Investigation Division at 219-391-8318 or leave an anonymous tip at 219-391-8500. Authorities in Hammond have arrested 4 men in relation to the fatal shooting of 13-year-old Thomas De La Cruz Jr. De La Cruz was shot to death on the 3600 block of 167th Street on Halloween. Court records say a trick-or-treater in a clown mask that was with De La Cruz had exchanged words with the man who threatened to shoot them. A group in a car with several people later jumped out on the children and opened fire.
Son was a good kid, man. He deserved it. Senseless act of violence. Just a young kid, trick or treat.
He just wanted to be a kid. He wanted to be a kid. Kids should be allowed to go trick-or-treating. Kids shouldn't have to worry about if somebody's gonna roll up on them and shoot them down while trying to collect candy with friends and have fun. My son was 13. He just made 13 October 1st. He don't know nothing about no shooting and what to do and all of this. No kid know nothing about that. These children shouldn't be here hurting. These children shouldn't be here hurting. My family is broke. It's broken. My daughter, we can't even go home because he's not there.
In early November, a 23-year-old man from Gary, Desmond L. Cruz, was arrested and charged in connection to the murder. Cruz confessed to involvement, saying he and the group fired at the children, but claims he did not shoot the children. On Friday, 20-year-old Richard Walker, 20-year-old Sheldon Stokes, and 18-year-old Chevelle Ash were arrested for the murder. Walker was found on the 6500 block of McCook Avenue and Stokes on the 7100 block of Lindbergh Avenue. Ash was arrested on the 7100 block of Maryland and Hammond after ordering a ride-sharing service vehicle to go to the Greyhound, after police believed he was tipped off. The men were arrested by a collaboration of the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force, the Hammond Police Department Gang Unit, the Hammond Police Department, Lake Station Police Department, Gary Police Department, LaPorte County Sheriff's Department, and the Department of Homeland Security in making the arrest. Calumet City police officers had their vehicle stolen while searching for carjackers on Tuesday. The officers were investigating an attempted carjacking at a gas station on Sibley around 6:20 a.m. When police arrived, the 4 armed suspects ran off in different directions. While the officers were searching the area, one of the suspects went back to the gas station and drove off in a marked police SUV. The suspects got onto the Bishop Ford and exited near 99th and Green Street, where he dumped the SUV and escaped. Officers were able to track the vehicle using onboard GPS. On Thursday, an SUV crashed into a South Chicago currency exchange in an attempted robbery. According to police, around 4 a.m., a driver slammed an SUV into the currency exchange located on the 8700 block of Commercial. After crashing into the building, a passenger in the car tried to go inside and take an item. The passenger was unable to get the item and return to the SUV. The driver then drove off. At the time of this reporting, no arrests have been made. Also on Thursday, a Calumet City woman was charged in federal courts on allegations she arranged for a child to engage in commercial sex acts. 26-year-old Jamari Hodge, known as Hypnotic or Miracle, was arrested on Wednesday after investigators tracked down sexually explicit photos she took of the victim posted in online advertisements offering commercial sex services. The complaint alleges Hodge ran ads and rented hotel rooms in Illinois for encounters between the child and people who responded to the ads. Hodge is accused of setting the prices and having the customers pay her in cash or electronic transfer. Hodge is currently facing charges of the production of child pornography that carries a minimum of 15 years in federal prison. Anyone looking to report child sexual exploitation can do so by contacting the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 800-843-5678 or visiting www.missingkids.com. The Calumet City Mayor, Thaddeus Jones, has tested positive for COVID-19. Jones, who is also a member of the Illinois House of Representatives, is quarantining at home for 14 days. On Friday, Jones, who is fully vaccinated, tested positive for COVID-19. A spokesman for the mayor said that he takes regular COVID-19 tests twice a week. The spokesman also said the mayor is experiencing very minimal complications and is feeling good, both health-wise and in spirits. He will currently be conducting work and attending meetings online during his isolation. A South Chicago religious leader is calling on Mayor Lightfoot to deny one of Chicago's leading casino bids. Bishop Larry Trotter from the Sweet Holy Spirit Church is asking that the bids from Related Midwest be denied. Related Midwest owned the Parkway Gardens housing complex in Woodlawn. According to Trotter, the company was essentially a slumlord and had a history of leaving residents in deplorable conditions. Parkway Gardens has several documented building code violations that the company has pledged to address earlier this year. Related Midwest claims it has invested $58 million in capital improvements to the gardens. Related is an active developer in Chicago with ties to the emerging 78 housing development near the river in the South Loop. Related Midwest is partnering with Rush Street Gaming on a proposal for a casino next to the Chicago River near Roosevelt and Clark as part of the 78. Rush Street Gaming has another separate proposal for a casino located at the Lakeside Center, which was formerly the East Building at the McCormick Place. There are two other companies competing for casino bids in Chicago, the Hard Rock International and Bally's. Hard Rock International wants to build a casino just west of Soldier Field. Bally's has proposed two casinos at different locations. One is at the Freedom Center located at 77 West, Chicago. The other is at an old parking lot or marshalling yard by McCormick Place located at 31st and DuSable Lakeshore Drive. During the week, the City of Chicago revised its plans for the final health impact assessment meeting for RMG's new shredder on the east side, or what activists call the relocation of General Iron. The city was scheduled to hold a virtual meeting on December 2nd, but revised the meeting to an in-person meeting now scheduled on the 9th. The changing of plans was criticized by the Alliance of the Southeast and the Southeast Environmental Task Force is overlapping with another meeting they have planned with the city on proposing new developments or We Will Chicago. The We Will Chicago plan is a citywide initiative to create a decades-long plan similar to Daley Sr.'s 1966 plan and the Chicago 2020 plan. The plans have been criticized over the years as contributing to many problems faced by low-income minority groups. The groups had previously worked with the city on creating the plan for rule changes to the large facilities recycling permit. Despite the groups having assisted the city in creating the permit, the groups are now fighting the city for the permit being issued to RMG for the new shredder on the east side. RMG is claiming it meets all the permitting requirements. The city has moved the meeting to the United Auto Workers Hall at 13550 South Torrance Avenue at 5:30 p.m. It is unclear why the city decided to change the meeting from the well-attended online meetings to an in-person meeting. Those attending the meeting are required to present a photo ID and proof of vaccination at the time of entry. If proof of vaccination is unavailable, the person has to show a negative PCR test taken within 24 hours of the meeting or a negative COVID-19 antigen test within 6 hours. Activist groups have said they are planning to camp out in front of the head of the Department of Public Health, Dr. Allison Arwadi's home beginning Thursday if she does not deny the permit. In other news, activists in South Shore organizing against area gentrification and displacement presented their demands during the week to the city. The activists have been raising awareness to the changes coming to South Shore spurred by the building of the Obama Presidential Library. The library has already triggered an increase in area property values and rent, as speculators start targeting housing for development. During the week, members of the Obama CBA Coalition held a virtual teach-in to discuss their goals of providing protections for tenants, homeowners, and to prevent displacement. The activists were calling for the city officials to reserve all city-owned vacant lots in South Shore for affordable housing, create a pilot affordable housing program for South Shore that requires 60% of new housing developments to be reserved for extremely low-income households, capping rental application fees, move-in fees, and security deposits, using Chicago Housing Authority's acquisition program to buy and convert new developments into public housing. The activists want to invest at least $63.3 million in programs benefiting South Shore residents to include rent assistance, loan fund for buying and rehabbing vacant residencies, renew South Shore's program to help low and middle income earners buy homes in their neighborhood, tax debt forgiveness for homeowners in the 5th and 7th Ward at risk, and financial allocations to the preservation of existing affordable rental program. British Petroleum in Northwest Indiana has agreed to pay a $500,000 penalty for emissions from its refinery. Under an agreement with regulators reached during the week, the company struck a deal following violations of the Federal Clean Air Act. The Sierra Club and Environmental Integrity Project sued BP in 2019 under the Act for violations in which BP exceeded the limits of particulate matter releases. Under the agreement, BP agreed to conduct stack tests at least once every 6 months and make sure the results are accurate, report and fix control equipment failures, install and operate new analyzing devices, and pay additional penalties for future violations. On Saturday, Eastside residents gathered for the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony. The event took place on the corner of 106th and Ewing. The Christmas tree was donated by a woman named Miss Miller. The event featured music, food, and groups passed out information. And finally, before we end this week in review, your friends here at RISE are going to be testing a public community event calendar during the month of December. As part of the test, the calendar will list events happening in the region that we serve in our news coverage. The goal of the calendar is to aid area residents in knowing what is happening across the region and encourage active participation in our community. The calendar can be accessed at the following address: bit.ly/3 lowercase o l f h h t. And that ends our weekly review for November 29th through December 6, 2021. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.